ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ಗೆ. ಸೊ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ ತರ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ನ ಯಾವ ತರ ಡೇಟಾ ರೀಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಯಾವ ತರ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಂಗ್ ನ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸಾರಿ, ಈಗ ಇಂಟೀಜರ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇಂಟೀಜರ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸೊ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ರೇಂಜ್ ಏನ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ರೇಂಜ್ ನ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಾನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ 5 ಇಂದ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 5 ಇಂದ ರೇಂಜ್ 5 to 10 ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂನ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಸೊ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ರೇಂಜ್ ನ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಈಗ 2 ತಗೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಅದು 2 ಇಂದ 9 ವರೆಗೂ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ 2. ಸೊ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದೇ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಾವು ಎ ಬಿ ಸಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ 3 ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದಾಗ 3 ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ನ ನಾನು ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, 3, 4. ಸೊ ಇದು ಕರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಸೊ 2 ಬಂದು ಎ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, 3 ಬಂದು ಬಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, 4 ಬಂದು ಸಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ಬಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಿ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಮೆಥಡ್. ಸೊ ಇದು ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಎರರ್. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಿ 2 ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ಬಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಿ ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೂ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ಬಿ ಓಕೆ, ಬಿ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಸಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಸೊ ಬಿ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಸಿ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ 3 + 4 ಬಂದು 7 ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇದ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿ ಕ್ಯಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಬಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿ. ಸೊ 2 ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಂಗ್ ನ ಕನ್ಕ್ಯಾಟಿನೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಂಬರ್ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದೇ ತರನೇ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ 3, 4 ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು 3, 4 ಅಂತಾನೆ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ನ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಟೈಪ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತ ಹೌ ಕೆನ್ ವಿ ಪಾಸ್ ದಿ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್, ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್. ಇದೇ ತರ ಸೊ ತುಂಬಾ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಥವಾ ಇವನ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದಾಗ ಸೊ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ARGS ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ARGS ಅಂತ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ ನೇಮ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು, ಏನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಸೊ ಅಷ್ಟು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಲೆಂತ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಜಸ್ಟ್ 3 ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಕಿಟ್ಸ್ ನ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದಾಗ ಸೊ ಅದು 3 ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಕಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ ಇಂದ ನಾವು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಅದು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ನಾವು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಬಂದು 0 ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ 0, 1, 2. ಸೊ ಆ ತರ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ARGS ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ARGS. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ ನೇಮ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ args of 0. ಸೊ ಈ ಲೈನ್ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಒಂದೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ args ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು 3 ವೇರಿಯೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 3 ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ನ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಅದು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದೆ, 2 ಇಂದ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ 0 ಬದಲು 1 ಅಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ನ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. So ನೋಡಿ ಈಗ 3 ಇಂದ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ತರ ನಾವು 2 ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಅದು ಥರ್ಡ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ನ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಆಗ ಅದು 4 ಇಂದ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ತರ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಒಂದೇ ಪ್ಯಾರಾಮೀಟರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಮೇನ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೆಂಡ್ ಎನಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಾವು ಇಫ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಸೆಂಡ್ 4 parameters or still more parameters, so I can just pass it. So if you want to utilize here, so we can utilize, otherwise not an issue. So when we want to pass multiple parameters but we don't know how many parameters we will pass, so in such a case, so we can use this star args. And we have one more parameter that is called kwargs. It means that we use the 2 star for that. So before the parameter name, we should use the 2 stars. And after that, we can use any name. So for that, we just call it as a kwargs. But what is the main difference means? So in the star arguments, so we will just pass the values. But when we use the double star with the parameter name, for example, kid, so we use the key value basis. So when we want to access the value, so we should access by the key. So here just they are passing first name and last name. So they can access inside the method, they can access by the key name. So for example, I just make this as a so, but here we can't use the index numbers. So we should use key basis first. Okay, for the key, we no need to mention double quote. So for the value, we should mention the double quote. So if it is an integer, we just need to mention the direct integer value. So let's mention the integer value. So I'm just passing as a first and second. So when we want to access here, so we just have to access by the key basis. So what is the main advantage here? So we can pass the parameters with the key. So there is not required like I have to pass first, I have to pass this second or third or fourth like that. In the serially, it is not required to pass it. So when we want to access here, so we should access by the key. For example, first, first, I am using the key. For the second variable, I am using the second key. So now it is printing from 2. So because the first parameter is 2. So now if I want to use the second parameter, and the second. So now it is starting from 3 because it is accessing this value. So here also we can pass any number of parameters. So here also I will just test the. So it is starting from 6. So it is taking the third parameter. And also if I want to call one more time that method with only one parameter. that is as a just a third. So it will run 2 times. It will print the loop value 2 times. So this is for the first time. It is calling the loop check with the 3 parameters, and second time it is calling with the just a 1 parameter. So as we are using a third, so third parameter is must and should. So because if we don't pass the third parameter, it will throw the error because it requires the key of third. So this is only the concept which is available in the Python, that is star arguments and star kwargs. So this is the two important in the methods. So if you take any other programming languages, so these concepts are not available. Also, we can use a default parameter. So if we don't pass any parameter, so it will take it as a default value. So for example, option equals to 3. So I am calling with a like these 3 parameters, but it will give the error. Okay, because this is not the type. Only if we can pass with the key value basis for the if the method is having a star kwargs. So now I will just have to pass only one parameter as a for the option. So first I am just passing with the 2. So second I am not passing any value. So the first list will be from the 2 and the second list will be from the 3. So why 3? So I am not passing any parameter. So the default value will take it as a 3. If we pass the value, so that value will be stored in the option. 3 will be replaced with the 2. So because I am passing the value 2. So like this, we can use the default parameter also. So this is also not available in any other programming language. Also, we can pass any type of variable. So here they are just passing the list as a parameter. So even if you pass as a list, it just take that parameter as a list itself. And how can we return the value from the method? So it means that, so after this, complete loop, so I just want to return success. So it means that I can store that response in some variable. So for that, I have to mention one variable and I have to use the equal operator. So that time it will store that return value from this function will be stored in the variable. So let's just debug the code. So now if we go to console, so it's just printing the outside the while loop. Still it is not started executing. So just I put the breakpoint here. So because after end of this execution, it will stop here. So if I continue, so now it is stopped here. So it is printed all the data. After printing the finally finished, so it came here and now it is going to return the success message. So where this method has been called, so to that same position, this success will be returned. So if we complete that line, so the rest is storing the value of success. So rest is a type of string variable. It is storing the value success. So like this, we can return the value from the function. So pass statement means if there is any exceptions, it will not throw any error. It just continue. So as we tested in some previous functions, previous conditions like if and for loop to use the pass keyword. So it works same as it is in the functions also. So recursions means, so it repeatedly call the same method. For example, if you are going to call that same method repeatedly, so if you mention that method name within that method itself. For example, after printing this, again I have to call this loop check with the option 1. So it will be keep calling the data. So if I execute this, so it will be keep running. So it just keep running the values. So after that, it is throwing the exception because that maximum recursion depth exceeded. So recursion means just inside this method, we are going to call that same method again. So star arguments and star kwargs are the most important because we will use these concepts in so many places. Okay, so next is the Python lambda. So lambda means it is just a one line execution. So if instead of writing 3 lines, 4 lines code, so we can convert that 3 line, 4 line into a 1 line code. So for that, we can use a lambda expressions. So the lambda expressions, the syntax is, we should use the keyword lambda, after that arguments and expressions. So what is the arguments I am passing and what is the expression I am going to execute. So let's take this example only. So here the parameter is the a and a plus 10. So we need to just pass the a for this lambda function. So x is the function name. So for this x, we need to pass the parameter a. For example, I'm just passing the 5. So it will do 10 plus 5 and it will return the value. So this is the lambda expression, simple expression to do the addition with the plus 10. So for that, print x of x of 3. So it will just do 10 plus 3. 30. So like that, this is a very simple expression. So also we can do some complex expressions also. So here they are taking a 2 parameters and just they are doing a multiplication. Multiply with past parameters and it is going to return the value to the where we are calling this lambda function. So you can just try with some other some complex lambda functions which has been provided here as an examples. So this is not mandatory to use any lambda expressions. So this is just a concept to reduce the number of lines of code. So if we use this, we can reduce the number of lines of code. So that is only the use of this lambda expressions. Okay, so next concept is arrays. So array is already we have seen the list, tuple, sets, and dictionary. So these are all the most important to store the list of data. So arrays is the regular concepts which we have already used in any other programming languages. So but in Python we use the list, tuples, so list, tuples, dictionaries, and sets. So these are all the list of data which we are going to store in a container. So what we have seen in the list, so it will be the same thing. So there is not any differences. So we just represent same like a list only. So we just represent within the square bracket, and we will access the values by the index numbers. Also there is a built-in methods. So those are the method clear, copy, count, extend. So which we have already seen in the list. So here they are mentioning as a list or arrays. So both are the same thing. Okay, so from next concepts, it will start with the classes and objects. So this is the object-oriented concepts. So till now, whatever we have seen, so this is the procedural-oriented language. Procedural means, so the code will execute line by line, line by line. So when we are doing the debug, so if we just click on that step over, so it just keeps step over in the next line by line. So but in the object-oriented, it will be works as an object and class basis. That is not a procedural oriented. So that we will see how it will work in the Python programming languages. So in other programming languages also, like even in C++, there is a object oriented. Even Java, C Sharp, other programming languages also having a object oriented concepts. So even in the Python also there is a object oriented concepts. This is the most important concept in the object oriented features we have to see: inheritance, polymorphism. So these are the major features of this object oriented. So in the next class we'll see the what is class and objects and what are the object oriented features. So after that we just have some few concepts. After that we have to just check for the Python handlings. So after this Python handling we have to start with the Django application development. Akshata and Shambhavi already have given a small project on the Django project. So that is a web application development. So here what we are seeing in the W3 schools. So this is one web application. Even if you take a Gmail, so this is also a web application. So these kind of applications we can develop by using the Python Django. Even Google is also using lot of their products by using the Python and Django tools. Okay, so also the Python and Django is one of the major tool and programming languages currently all the industries are using. Even artificial intelligence, machine learnings are also developed by using the Python programming. So that's why this Python is having a very great future in the next coming days. Okay, any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. I think all of you are watching the class like how you watch in the colleges. So, but just try to learn the concept, so it will be very useful for your future.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll connect Monday. So just watch the
Yes,
previous
sir.
classes, and you
Yes,
just
sir.
any doubts if you have, and you can ask the questions in the Monday if you have any doubts. Okay, we'll connect.
Okay, sir.
Okay.